This is the plaintiff, Michelle Moradell. She says she bought a real clunker from the shady defendant and ended up bringing the car back to him because it was a piece of junk. He gave her a receipt that said no balance due and promised to return a deposit. Well, of course he didn't, because she's in court today. And if he wants a lawsuit, he's got one. She's suing for $5,000 for all she's out. This is the defendant, Joe Rost. He says the plaintiff went belly up on the car loan. The car was returned to him and he resold it. This whole business about her having issues with the car being no good are simply not true. He's been in business for quite a while and knows for a fact he's in the right. He's accused of making promises and not keeping them.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket. The plaintiff bought a clunker from the defendant and says he won't return her deposit, but the defendant says she's a liar. It's the case of I got clunk in the trunk.
Thank you, Douglas. Okay, Michelle Moradell.
Hi, Harry.
You are suing Colorblend Automotive.
Yes.
Represented here by Joe Rost. You are the owner? Okay. For $5,000 that you say should be paid back to you, a down payment, and any payments that you made on a car that you bought from them, that you surrendered, plus an additional $2,500 in emotional distress because you're so distressed about surrendering the car that you didn't finish paying for. You're gonna have to educate me here. What's going on?
I had met Joe through a mutual friend. He said he could finance me through, getting a car at bad credit. He's seen me walking, I have 2 kids, to my daughter to school every day, rain, snow. He said he wanted to help me out. So he had got a car, he picked out a car, and he said that he couldn't get it inspected because there was a frame that was cracked, so he had picked out the Mercury Sable. So I had it for about 20 hours, and the transmission seal had broke on the transmission.
What year car was this?
It's 01 Mercury Sable.
Okay, and do you have paperwork from the transaction?
No.
You were buying it at what price?
The whole financing, with the financing, it was a little over $10,000.
Okay, but that's not my question. What's the sale price of the car?
Selling price, we received $39.95.
Is that the selling price of the car? What is the selling price of the car?
Your Honor.
Can someone actually answer the question?
$7,313.59.
Can I see the paperwork?
That's the first page.
Did you ever check to see what the Blue Book value of the car was?
No, you didn't. No, I didn't, Your Honor.
That's like the first.
I know. I was very desperate. I walk around.
Look how desperate you are. It takes 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not very
yourself for 30 seconds and go on the computer and find out what
I should have, yes.
All right. Can we find out what the Blue Book value is? Do you know what the Blue Book value of the car was?
Sure, it's less than that.
How much less?
Probably $5,000, $5,500.
Okay, and you were trying to help out this desperate mother of 2?
Well, the situation is this. This young lady's credit would not allow us.
Oh, no, that's nothing to do with the sale price. That has to do with jacking up the payments and the interest.
I'm trying to explain to you why I had to have the price accelerated so I could get money from the finance company. I received from the finance company a check for $2,300.
Okay.
And to purchase, we had to sign a repurchase agreement, meaning if they failed to make their payments, we, being the dealership, would have to pay that note off.
Right.
Which is what transpired.
So she was borrowing, she put down $1,000, so she was borrowing what, like $6,000, and that's what was financed?
Yes.
And that's what turns, in the end of the day, it into $10,000 for a car that's worth $5,000. So he says, we'll find out, but okay. So go on.
So the transmission seal broke after 24 hours.
How do you know that's what broke?
I brought it to his shop.
Okay.
My son was 6 months old. The car kept jerking back and forth, so I made it to his shop, and he said, I'll look at it, I'll get it fixed. So 6 days later, the car was fixed. He said it was a transmission seal. It was sitting, and it cracked, and that's what had happened to the car. I was making $336 payments on the car.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have bad credit.
Yeah. I needed to, I kept breaking down from I was getting 9 miles to the gallon. I called him. He was
What do you mean you kept breaking down?
Well, he said he had to fix the gas gauge, so I got the car 3 or 4 days after I signed the papers and stuff. He said he was going to fix it, so I called him and I said, listen, you know, I'm breaking down. I'm putting gas in the car.
What do you mean breaking down? Do you
The
mean
whole
running out of
car-
gas? Because you're talking about a gas gauge. That's different than breaking
yes.
down.
Well, the whole car
do you
would
mean
shut-
that? Say it again.
The whole car would shut down and it would just stop right there.
Okay, meaning that you ran out of gas?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
that is not breaking down. That is running out of gas.
Okay.
So is it ever, this woman paid $2,000 over Blue Book. Is it ever okay to pay more than Blue Book?
Absolutely not. I mean, if you're going to do that, you're just setting yourself up for something.
What do you think, sir?
Absolutely not.
What if it's like a,
I think so. I think possibly, because what if it's a car that she really liked? And then you can't get it anywhere else. What if she liked the color?
stay with me when we finish the show, I'm going to sell you my car. Going inside the courtroom.
Okay, so you kept running out of gas because the gas gauge was broken?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd put gas in there. I kept calling him. He said, bring it in, you know, and then he would call me and tell me that I needed to change the day. So I would do it through the mileage, and I was getting about 9 miles to the gallon. I had called the finance company. I said, you know, this car is not going to last the whole loan. And they said that they were going to send the contract back to him. So they sent the contract back to him. He wrote me a balance receipt with no balance due.
Right.
He said the finance company had my down payment.
I know, but okay, all right. So you buy a car, a used car. It has a warranty. And you decide, yeah, change my mind. I know I signed that contract, but I don't feel like abiding by it.
Well, I had asked the finance company, and they told me that they could send it back. He had told
Yeah, they
me,
don't care because the person who gets stuck with it then is him because he did a repurchase thing. You know, like he was indemnifying the finance company. But that's not the point. The point is that you have a loan that says that you're going to pay X and you're going to pay it for X amount of time.
Yeah.
And when the rest of us do that, we have a consequence, which is we got to pay X for X amount of time.
Yes.
Why are you special? If your answer is because I kept running out of gas, that's not a special thing.
No, that's not it, Your Honor.
If it's that, you know, they weren't honoring the warranty, then explain that. But it looks like what you did, you just testified. I looked at it and I decided this wasn't such a good idea after all because I don't think it's going to last me 10 years, you know, or whatever. The payments were going to go on for how long?
The term?
Yeah.
36 months.
Okay, I don't think it's going to last me 3 years, judging by how this used car is doing right now, this 5-year-old car is doing right now. What year was this car?
01.
Oh, excuse me. Judging by how this 12-year-old car is doing right now, I don't know that it's going to last me 3 years. You know what? This was a bad idea. I changed my mind. Here, take your car. I mean, there are consequences to that because see, now he's not chasing you for the rest of the money. He took it. He fixed it, he sold it, and if there were any lumps to take, he took the lumps. You, however, now want every penny that you spent on a car you drove for 2 months back from him.
Well, I
right?
had gotten advice, Your Honor, from the finance company. They told me that I could do that. That's why I had
Yeah, I'm sure because because the finance company goes like this, right? They're good. They don't care. But why? Why would that be fair?
Well,
I mean, you had a warranty with him that he was honoring. I mean, why didn't you just take it in and have him fix whatever was bothering you?
Yeah, well, he had told me he would give me my money back, and then he had told me the finance company
Did you ever tell
had
her
it.
that you would give her deposit and her 2 payments back?
No, ma'am.
Okay, nobody is going to tell you that because that is not how the real world works. Have you ever bought a car before?
No, I haven't.
Right. That is not how the real world works.
Yeah.
You know?
Your Honor, he had told me, though, that he had given the down payment to the finance company and never had. So he told me that he went back and forth on his
none of what you're
story.
saying really matters. You have a contract with him, and you have a contract that is financed. He then subs the financing to a third party, to the finance company, okay? He had to pay off your loan. Do you understand that or you don't?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, how much did you have to pay the finance company?
$22.50.
Okay, then he had to, so he's out that. He's out the $3,500 or so, more than that, $4,000 that you owe on the purchase price of the car, $5,000, he's out that. And then he sells a car so he makes up some of that, but he's out the rest. Why should he return to you 2 payments and your down payment? You surrendered a car. When a person surrenders a car, they're going like this. And they may owe more money after that, which that may be the case that you owe more money, but he is just calling it a day and not pursuing you for the more money. But you're pursuing him. You got to drive it for 2 months and you want that to be free. That is not how the real world works. I have a very strong suggestion for you. Save your pennies. buy a car that you can afford so that you don't end up paying $10,000 for a car worth $3,000, all right? And then buy it after you've had it inspected by a mechanic who can tell you these are the things that are going to be wrong with it. But in this situation, under these facts, you do not collect every penny you put into trying to buy this car back from the defendant because you decided to surrender the car. Verdict for the defendant.
It's too bad for the plaintiff that the law says you can't collect.
It definitely does. He took advantage of a single mom of two, so.
Right.
You know.
Don't leave yet. You think he knew he was doing that? Are you saying he did it on purpose?
He definitely did.
Why would he do that?
You know, he seen me walking with my kids. He wanted to make money, so I'll leave it in God's hands. I'll pray for him.
All right, so what have you learned now? I mean,
not to trust people like that. Thank you.
You're welcome. And so the defendant comes out on the winning end of this case. What do you think?
Well,
he says you took advantage of it.
Justice was served. I go along with the judge's decision.
Well, you have no choice there.
Right.
But what about her comment that you saw her walking in and she was a mark?
Absolutely not. She wanted to purchase a car, limited funds, limited credit. I made it happen. And then,
and the law's on your side.
3,000 miles later, she don't want the car.
Okay. Harvey?
You know, one of the biggest tricks that people use when they sell a car is they give you a low price and then they're going to finance the car. And you always look at the price and don't think of the financing. When you buy a car, you have to factor in the financing because ultimately the question is how much money are you shelling out to buy this vehicle and what are you going to get when you end up unloading it? The cost of financing is as important as the cost of the car itself.